It's Lee Byford's 37th birthday. Little does he know, it's also the day he will die. Just hours before the tragedy, Lee's mother, Ann Mariotti, woke up excited to be the first to wish her son a happy birthday.
I talked to Lee twice that day because it was his birthday.
Lee tells his mom he plans to have dinner with his girlfriend, Tiffany.
I'm gonna kind of like decorate my living room and dining room and fix him something to eat so when he gets off, you know, he can kind of celebrate his birthday a little bit.
Lee had just put in a long day at his Knoxville, Tennessee auto painting shop with his friend and co-worker, Jackie Sutton.
You were one of the last people with Lee. You were with Lee all day, the day he was murdered?
All day long. He and I had worked from, I want to say it was 9:30 till 6:30, somewhere around there. And he was going home to eat.
But when Lee arrives home after work, he's unusually late and not alone.
He came in the house. I was like, "You're late. You know, I had something planned for you." And he was like, "I know, I understand." He said, "But I have to take Gerard home."
Gerard is Gerard Murphy, a new buddy of Lee's.
Gerard and Lee were introduced from Lee's friend. Gerard was out of work at the time and needing to make some money, and asked him, "Do you have anything you need done at your business where he could work for you a little bit?"
He was trying to help him out.
He was trying to help him out.
And on this night, that included a ride home.
And I said, "Okay, so when will you be back?" He said, "I'll be back a little later. I promise." I said, "Okay."
But it's a promise Lee won't keep within seconds of stepping outside of his house.
I heard like something ricocheting off of his truck. So I was like, what the heck was that?
Panicked, Tiffany flings open the curtains.
Oh my God, what is going on? I seen a guy, like about 5'5" or something, with a blue hoodie on, like it was all covered up his face, like he had a black mask on or something, black gloves. He had a gun pointing directly at his SUV.
Screaming at the top of her lungs, Tiffany runs out on the front porch. The masked gunman doesn't flinch and runs to the driver's side window of Lee's SUV. Now he is mere inches from Lee, who has managed to lock the door.
But he was beating on the side of his window, and I was on the porch screaming, "Please leave him alone, go away."
But the masked gunman won't back off.
At that point, the gunman is trying to open the door.
Knoxville police investigator Brandon Wardlaw says at that moment, Lee was in big trouble.
Byford puts the truck in reverse, tries to back down the hill, I would say to get away.
As Lee Byford races away in reverse, Gerard Murphy sits in the passenger seat.
The next thing you know, there's a gunshot. At that point, he says, Byford looks at him and says, I think I'm hit.
Tragically, Lee has been gravely wounded in the left side of his chest. Investigators say at that point, Murphy stepped on the accelerator.
After Byford's shot, the truck rolls down the driveway from where he initially had stopped when he got home. It actually gets stuck right here where the driveway and the street meet. There's a little ditch here.
Cops are on the scene quickly. Investigators secure the area, but the masked gunman is nowhere to be found. Lee Byford is still behind the wheel of his SUV, and he's not moving.
Byford was pronounced dead on the scene.
And the passenger in the car, Gerard Murphy?
Murphy didn't have a scratch on him.
No, ma'am.
Police interview Gerard. He tells investigators he was sitting in the passenger seat, waiting for Lee to come out of his house.
Next thing he knows, the gunman comes from around the fence. Byford tries to get back to the vehicle, and he's able to get in the driver's side and close the door.
And that's when Gerard says the masked man fired his gun, point blank at Lee.
Why do you think Lee Byford was shot and not Murphy?
That's something that still, puzzles me to today. This whole thing's it's mind-boggling.
Investigators process the crime scene. It appears to be a straightforward robbery, minus one thing, the robbery.
Nothing was taken. I think that once Byford got in the truck, he messed the whole thing up. If they could have got to him before he got in the vehicle and got whatever they thought he had on him, I think they would have just took it and ran.
Investigators scour the crime scene, looking for anything that will point them in the direction of a potential suspect.
We were able to locate, it was a piece of chewing gum, I think an earring, that we confiscated. We actually went back the next day with a metal detector to make sure we didn't miss any shell casings.
The one thing cops do have is a partial description of the gunman.
A blue hoodie or sweatshirt and a black ski mask.
Then, just days after the shooting, Knoxville police get what seems to be a huge break in the case when they receive a call from Lee's girlfriend.
I'm at the house, I look down, and I see a black mask on the ground.
Wait a minute now. You tell me you found something as small as an earring in the driveway that night, and then the next day you also searched and you found chewing gum and other things. But then 2 days later, you get a call that there's a ski mask that just shows up in the driveway?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that odd to you?
There's no way I missed that ski mask.
Lee Byford is shot to death outside his Knoxville, Tennessee home on his 37th birthday.
Like somebody punched you in the gut. It's just the worst thing you can ever imagine.
Police suspect a robbery gone wrong, but Lee's friends and family believe it was something else.
I think it was targeted.
But who would set up Lee and why? Lee's loved ones say you don't have to look very far.
Gerard was in the passenger seat the whole time, is what I'm told.
Right next to your son when he was murdered.
Yeah.
The Knoxville man's friends and family claim they have plenty of reasons to believe that Lee's new buddy, Gerard Murphy, set him up. Lee's girlfriend Tiffany claims Lee told her that Gerard was working with him on the day of the incident. And according to Tiffany, that meant Gerard had first-hand knowledge of one key thing.
Lee told me he was gonna get $500 that day.
And the payment would be in cold, hard cash, something Knoxville police say could have made Lee a marked man.
Do you believe this is someone who knew Lee Byford and knew that he would have cash on him?
Yes, ma'am.
But Lee's best friend, Dean, has some serious questions about the robbery gone wrong theory.
If it was random, how do they know when he was coming home?
Then there's the fact of where Lee lived. It's not easy to find.
You wouldn't stumble across it, so how would anybody that didn't know Lee know where he lived? Or even if they did, there's only so many people that had even been there.
And Lee's mother points to something odd that Gerard did right after the murder. According to police, when they arrived on scene, they discovered Gerard walking up from the bullet-riddled SUV toward Lee's house.
The fact that he was walking back, that's what has always bothered me.
Because the shooter is still out there?
Yes,
He'd be afraid.
I would think so.
And you'll remember Lee arrived home late on the night he was killed. Now cops can confirm where he was just minutes before he was murdered.
We have video surveillance of Byford and Gerard Murphy going to the Stop and Go market before they ended up going to Byford's residence where the incident took place.
So about 5 minutes before he was shot, he was at the convenience store.
Yes, ma'am.
The surveillance video has not been made public, but reportedly it shows Lee going inside the store to buy a drink, and then Gerard is seen walking out of frame to talk to someone. That makes Lee's family very suspicious, but investigator Wardlaw says Gerard has been cooperative and his story about the night in question appears to be credible.
He came in and spoke to me on three different occasions. But he's in a very odd situation from sitting in the car with Byford when the incident took place and going from being a witness to being accused by several people that he might have something to do with it or he set this whole situation up.
Is Gerard Murphy a person of interest?
Right now, he's not. He is a witness for me. I have nothing pointing to him showing that he could have anyway set this up or done it.
Gerard Murphy has not been arrested or charged in any connection with Lee Byford's death, leaving Lee's family and friends desperate for answers.
I would love it if you guys could make contact with Gerard and have him retell the accounts of that night, what really happened.
We start looking for Gerard and find him online in homemade rap music videos he posted to YouTube. This one is called Money Up. From last known addresses listed for Gerard, we zero in on this home. Gerard was reportedly living here with his brother, and the house appears to match the background that was featured in some of Gerard's music videos. And as we set up our cameras, it appears someone is home. The man identifies himself as Gerard's uncle.
He does not live here, neither one of them. Now you put that on the air. He do not live here. This is my house. They don't live here, they got their own houses. I don't care if they shoot videos wherever. Yes, they my nephews. I don't know what they done. Don't come back over here.
It's been 5 years since Lee's murder. His family has offered a $5,000 reward and still no answers.
No tips whatsoever. Not one call.
January 5th would have been Lee's 42nd birthday. Tragically, his mother now has to celebrate her son's life and death on the same day.
What would you say to someone who knows who took your son away from you and everyone else?
I would say, as a mother, if it were your son, what would you do? You need to speak up. We need closure, and we need justice.